Vocal arranger and writer Anne-Marie Milazzo. Ben Cole, our music director, directs Wicked. Tim Bird, our projection designer. And here we have the cast. There are only 2 characters in the show that actually have a name, and your name is?
Lucy.
And your name is? Guy. The rest just have numbers. We've been whittled down to just numbers. So what we want to do right now is just do a talk back. Any questions you might have or things you want to know from the cast, and I'll just walk around.
I'd like to start off by asking, how did you select the songs that were going to be used? Because usually a show like this is pretty much all Beatles, but you did a nice job combining a bunch of different genres.
Thank you. Anne-Marie, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. What we did is we all met in New York around a table, and we thought about what great songs there would be, because from that era, there's like, there's a certain amount. There's maybe 100 that everyone really knows really well. And so it became a rights issue. What songs could we use? We didn't want to just use the Beatles, because we needed to represent, the whole London Rocks era. So we on a blackboard, we kind of picked our favorite songs, and then along with what story we wanted to tell. And it kind of was like, because the lyrics of the songs were actually the story. So in order to avoid a Beatles, medley, we needed to ask Scott to get the rights to all these amazing songs that we wanted to tell our story. So it became story first, the story of young love and meeting at a record store and, through the generations. And basically, the story dictated what songs we were going to use. So that's when it happened.
That's how it's born.
Yeah, that's born.
Joining us, creative producer Jason Kantrowitz, lighting designer Ken Williamson, and Tony Lester James, costume designer. All right, what other questions do we have for the team or for the cast? There's got to be something. Here we go.
My question is, how did you think about designing a show that would appeal to all ages? It just seems like it would be tremendously challenging to incorporate the songs, because most of the children, for instance, aren't going to know the songs, and trying to develop items that would appeal to them without making the show bring back.
I was surprised. I think you're, in a certain way, yes, they don't actually know these songs, but they do know the song. They know the hooks of the songs. It's an extraordinary, these songs, how they are part of our culture, how they get into our lives and into our heads, and how they stay there. I think that's what's sort of phenomenal about this kind of, it's what's phenomenal about what happened in the 60s. And I think that idea and that challenge informed how we told the story and what story we told. And it was about an invasion of music. It was about how it became how we told the stories of our lives. They are, in the first scene is about that ignition, that moment where it happens, where you go, oh my gosh, is this thing I've never heard before. And the second scene is about how it can describe that moment of there's this guy, there's this girl, and I really like them and I want to spend all my time with them. And the third scene is about how it's part of all our weddings. And that's a moment where kids do hear the music, and we all hear the music, and everyone dances, and uncle dances badly, and granddad dances with grandchild. And then there's the back seat of the car where all the kids hear the music that dad's playing and mum's playing. I remember arguing that my dad was playing Deep Purple far too much. And then you have the moment where it's used as an expression of frustration. It's used as an expression of, I won't get out of this isn't enough, or I can't express my love, or it's not working. And I think that moment of rebellion, of that yells, scream for more, which is in all popular music, from the beginning, from the 60s right the way through to now, and then the final moment of what ultimately music does, which is it brings us together in a way that nothing else does in our culture, and it is profound, and I don't think anyone quite understands why, and it's deep inside all of us. And I sometimes like to imagine what would have happened if it didn't occur. What would our lives be like now if the 60s, if that moment didn't happen, if the Beatles, if the Rolling Stones, if the Kings, if those things didn't occur when they occurred, I think the landscape of our culture would be totally different. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Sam. Joining us, sound designer Peter Fitzgerald. Big sound.
Yeah, I wanted to know who did all the animations, because those are really impressive and amazing and very cool.
Well, animations were created by a big team of people. Some of whom are here with me. I did some of the animation, and Lawrence, who's around and about somewhere, I think he's looking after his baby. And Amber, who's also asleep now, because we spent some time last night making things better. But also back in the UK, there was Phoebe, who is the very talented animator, who made all the little people walking around with a policeman and the cat in the window, and Dan, who's a guitarist himself, and made all those incredible coloured swirls that do all the music, the patterns and all of that. Moira, who spent a lot of time making all those little people to dance at the wedding. And who else do we have? My brain's gone completely blank. Lots of people working for many hours, crafting the stuff to fit in with Stan's fabulous physical design, and with Tony's wonderful costumes, and with Ken's exquisite lighting. Fuse all that together with these fabulous performers and make a cool thing. We have lots of fun.
How long have you been working on it?
Well, I mean, we've been working on the show for some years now, but we concentrated the efforts in the last 2 to 3 months. Yes, it's taken about that amount of time to create what you've seen there, but I mean, hundreds of hours of animation work.
You know, one interesting thing, when we create a show for theme parks, we think about repetition. We think about the guests coming back, season pass holders. How do you make it unique and refreshing each time someone comes? The team spent a lot of time on that. And as you look at the show, you come back to the show, there's detail on detail, layers and layers that the whole team spent a lot of time on to make sure that this show will have a long run and it will be unique each time those guests come back. And then obviously the big wow when you just come to the park for the first time. What other questions do we have? Yes?
With the other shows at the park, such as Antoine and Celtic Fire, what was your decision to choose Wonder Rocks and Rock and Roll Show versus some of the shows at the park?
The shows in the park are, it's all about product diversity. It's about creating different shows for different people. Sometimes shows that will reach a broader demographic, children to adults. And really what's important is making sure we have shows that celebrate the artistic celebration, really. So we have dance shows, we have all musician-based shows, we have a fairy tale show that celebrates acrobatics and very unique storytelling. And so we have that wonderful lineup along with the Sesame product and the Dine products and everything that we do for Halloween and Christmas. So the decision to do rock and roll it's really, as Sam mentioned, kind of universal language. Something that we all understand, something that is easy to weave into storytelling, and really celebrating different decades to hit different demographics. A lot of time spent on how you transcend generations. The children coming to the show may not necessarily know this music, but their parents will. So is that a celebration? Does it go beyond just the park? It's very important that the show just doesn't stop here. We hope that we inspire and engage all of you to go beyond here. Maybe you'll go buy a record now. Maybe you'll see one of the wonderful, fabulous singers and dancers, and the children may want to become a dancer. So it's all about inspiration in how the show and how entertainment at Busch Gardens lives beyond just the park fences and boundaries. So that's an important piece of our mission, to excite, engage, entertain, and inspire. Yes?
I actually have a question for the cast. I want to know a little bit about your backgrounds and what your audition process was like. What's been the most fun thing you've gotten to do so far?
All right. I'm a musical theater major. Was a musical theater major. University of Miami, go Canes. I play instruments. I play piano and guitar and all that kind of stuff. So this was really up my alley. And the audition process was pretty cool. I just came in and sang a pop tune, and they gave us some sides, and we did choreography with Drew, and I mean, it was really quick. It was really quick and painless.
I was at the same audition as Joey, so I met him then. I was also a musical theater major. The audition process was unlike any other audition that I was at, because it's not, normal usually to go in on the first audition and have a creative team and to kind of get to work with them. So it was great and quick, and it's been kind of like that ever since we got here. Great and quick. Great cast, great creative team. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'm a musician by trade. I went to music school, and I'm a guitar player and playing since I was a little kid. So that's sort of my world. I play in bands and record and do stuff like that. So this is really my first theater experience. So I think in terms of auditioning, they were looking for someone who was a authentic musician who could sort of bring that feel to it. So I was just having a blast because this is all just something I've never played for in a stadium like this. So it's pretty cool.
All right, over here, where's Chase? Okay, folks, this is our choreographer, Mr. Chase Bell. Ben and Anne Marie had to go up to do a musical rehearsal for the second cast. This show is a second cast, so we can run up to 8 shows a day. We wanted to make sure that we could get as much London Rocks as we possibly could, so it is double cast. And double crewed and double stage managed. So we're covered for all of the guests to see. What other questions do we have? Yes?
Why did you decide at this time to bring live entertainment back to the theater?
When we looked at that product mix that I talked about earlier, 4D movies came in here in 1994. That was 20 years ago. 4D movies at that time were kind of cutting edge. Those were the things that people couldn't just see down the road. So we had a lot of dialogue. This is why we talk about show development in 5 years. You might think to yourself, well, 5 years, good grief, what were you people doing? Well, part of it's the strategy of moving the giant ship and lining everything up so we can have a show open up. This theater had to be completely renovated from this moment back. Stan had to basically gut the building and start over. Everything you see from here back is all brand new. Imagine it was a movie. It had a movie screen basically in it, and that was it. There were no sound, there was no lighting, no anything. So we had to start from scratch, and we thought, this facility is our best facility in the park. It has the capability of state-of-the-art technology. It has great seating capacity. They're comfortable seats as well. We can also use it throughout the season if necessary. We can use it for presentation purposes. So now we've restored this theater to kind of what I like to call the crown jewel of our entertainment facilities. What other